Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to dive back into Cochrane Alberta's real estate market, see what happened in February of 2025, and give you some things to look out for or pay attention to going into March of 2025. Now, this market update, I think, honestly, has a better outlook for owners in Cochrane or people who are potentially looking at selling in Cochrane over people that are buying in Cochrane currently. And I'll get into why I think that is in a second. Firstly, Cochrane is the only small community or small town surrounding the city of Calgary that saw a reasonable growth year over year in its benchmark prices. Cochrane saw a 5% year over year benchmark growth, where Airdrie only saw about 1.5%, and Okotoks saw just under 1%. So if you are an owner in the town of Cochrane, just know that your property may have actually increased in value more than in any of the competing markets of Airdrie and Okotoks, which if you're thinking about a time to upgrade, taking advantage of that growth where the other two markets haven't seen any may be a good plan for you. Now, a couple of the other things that I kind of want to point out in terms of why I think Cochrane itself is kind of in a good spot if you are thinking about selling currently is that Cochrane, if we're comparing Airdrie, Alberta, Cochrane, and the city of Calgary, was the only one that had a positive year over year number of sales in terms of a percentage growth. So with that, Calgary was down 19% year over year in the number of sales for the month of February. Okotoks was down 4%, Airdrie was down 9%, and Cochrane was actually up 15%. So more homes are being purchased or more sales are happening in Cochrane this year than at last year at this time and the year before. So we're actually seeing a little bit of a resurgence in activity since the peak numbers of 2020 and 2021 for the month of February. So again, if you are thinking about selling, just note there is that good interest level and homes are selling in Cochrane, Alberta, a little bit better than in other competing markets. Now, the interesting juxtaposition there is that, yes, while sales numbers were up in Cochrane and down everywhere else, new listings are actually up across the board in all four of those markets. So Calgary is seeing an 18% growth in listings. Okotoks is seeing a 3% growth in listings, which isn't much. Cochrane, 22% growth, and Airdrie, a whopping 41% growth in listings, even though their sales numbers, like I mentioned previously, were down 10% year over year. All that to say that if you are thinking about selling currently in Cochrane, Alberta, yes, inventory is up, but so are sales numbers. And because the Cochrane sales numbers are remaining high or higher than previous years, it's holding the inventory or months of supply a little bit lower than the other competing markets. Because of the massive growth of new listings in Airdrie and Okotoks, those markets are going to become a little bit more saturated with newer listings, and a new listing in Cochrane may have better eyes on it and result in a better sale. Now, Cochrane is actually seeing the highest number of inventory it has seen since the spring of 2021. So obviously a post-pandemic high. However, at 2.6 months of inventory, it still is below long-term trends in the town, as that was typically pre-COVID about 3.5 months of supply to 4 months of supply. So Cochrane still is seeing a lower number of homes on the market currently than history, but I expect that this new normal is going to be around that 2 to 2.5. Obviously, there's more demand for Cochrane than homes being built currently, and that is going to keep those inventory numbers a little bit smaller. One thing we did see a little bit of a relaxation on here in the last month in Cochrane is the percentage of new construction homes to prior lived-in homes. So if you're a buyer, this next part is more tailored to you and more important to you. So in previous videos, I was talking about how the increased inventory numbers were a little bit skewed because there was over 50%, upwards to 60% of homes being on the market that were new construction. This month, those numbers eased up a little bit with 197 listings. Only 42% of those were new construction, giving you about 115 to choose from that are actually prior lived-in homes. That also carries through to the detached market, where again, you're right at 42%. However, when we jump into the duplex and townhouse market, we are still seeing about 49 to 50% of the listings are new construction. So with those increase in inventories in the last month here, we have seen some more prior living homes come on the market. And what I would say is that is your indication that the spring market is starting to really get going. You're going to see more active listings. Obviously, people are looking at that end of school year possession time, moving in the summer months. We're getting into that really busy time of the year. So if you're a buyer getting in now while there's still lots of inventory and potentially a few less buyers might be your play. And then, of course, with watching interest rates, the next announcement here is near the end of the month. And right now, speak to your mortgage broker about how that's going to affect you. But right now, the variable might actually be your better play, depending on what variable rate you can get. So if you need help finding a mortgage broker or finding an expert in that field and you don't know where to start, shoot me a DM or feel free to shoot me a message either by email or send me a message by phone. I can get you a contact in the industry to help you with that. And then if you have any questions about how this market information and how the inventory numbers affects your specific situation, I'd be happy to jump on a call with you, go over that, and see how to best move forward in this current market for your specific situation.